So picture this. You're kicking back, watching a cricket match, the tension's high, but you keep seeing these ads. They're on the jerseys, they're on the boundary ropes. Ads for brands you've probably never even heard of. Ever stop and wonder, what's really going on there? Yeah, I'm sure you've seen them. Names like 1xBet, Defa News, and Bet. They're just everywhere, especially in leagues like the Tamil Nadu Premier League, the TNPL. They're sponsoring teams, events, you name it. And that's the big question, isn't it? What are these companies really? I mean, are they sports news websites? Maybe they sell cricket bats. The names seem just close enough to be legit, but something feels a little off. Well, here's the big reveal. 1xBet is just a front for the betting company 1xBet. Defa News is really Dafabet. And Melbet, you guessed it, that's a stand-in for Melbet. It's a classic bait and switch, right? All designed to get a brand name stuck in your head without actually advertising the real product. You know, this whole tactic actually has a name. It's called surrogate advertising. It's a really clever workaround companies use to promote things like alcohol or, in this case, online betting, especially in places where direct ads for those things are banned. They just create a surrogate product, like a news site or something, and build brand recognition for the real company that way. But, you know, regulators aren't just sitting back and watching this happen. It's actually led to a pretty major showdown, particularly at the state level. So let's dive into how one state, Tamil Nadu, is trying to fight back. Okay, so this is the crucial part. The legal landscape across India is not the same everywhere. In Tamil Nadu, for example, there's a specific law on the books that completely bans online betting. So that should be the end of the story, right? Well, not quite. The state even created a special authority, the Tinoga, to enforce this ban. And they've had some success, going after local advertisers like a taxi service that was showing betting odds. But their power has some serious limits. It's really hard for them to stop these offshore apps, and their biggest hurdle is a huge one. There's no national law to back them up. And this really gets to the heart of the problem. It's a classic case of a state's power just running into a total void at the federal level. This huge gap in national regulation, that is the exact loophole these massive industries are built on. In fact, a senior official in the Tamil Nadu Premier League put it very bluntly. They said, and I quote, "Unless the GOI gives a clarification on this, we cannot stop it." So what they're saying is their hands are tied. Without a clear rule from the central government, they feel like they can't legally say no to these sponsorships, even if they're in a state where betting itself is banned. Let's just spell it out, right? The core problem is this. There is no single, comprehensive, central law that restricts online betting in India. So these offshore companies can operate in this legal gray area. They just point to the lack of a federal ban to get around the state-level laws. So with all this legal confusion as their playground, these offshore firms have put together a pretty sophisticated playbook. They found all these new ways to keep growing their presence, even when facing these crackdowns. And the amount of money we're talking about, it is just staggering. In 2022 alone, these companies were estimated to have spent around 3,500 crore rupees just on advertising in India. That is a massive, massive investment. And it just goes to show you how much money is at stake. So, as the heat turned up on traditional TV and print ads, the strategy had to change. It's kind of gone underground now. We're talking subtle branding on cabs and buses, sponsoring smaller sporting events, and using armies of smaller social media influencers. They're also hitting people up directly through private channels like Telegram and WhatsApp, which makes them even harder to track. But, and this is really important, you gotta understand that this isn't just an Indian problem. Not at all. This whole debate over betting money in sports is a really complex issue that's playing out in leagues and boardrooms all over the world. Just take a look. These brands have a massive global footprint. Betway is a partner of Cricket South Africa. Paramount has sponsored teams in the Indian Super League. Their logos are woven deep into the fabric of international sport. This is a truly global phenomenon. And get this, in a really fascinating twist, the highest governing body in cricket, the ICC, has completely flipped its own long-standing policy. I mean, after the huge betting scandals back in the day, the ICC banned betting logos on kits in 2005. But then, in May 2023, they just revoked that 18-year ban, basically opening the floodgates for individual countries to sign their own deals. So what you have now is this totally fractured global approach. On one hand, you've got the English Premier League in football, which has proactively voted to ban betting sponsors from the front of their shirts starting in 2026. And on the other hand, you have international cricket, which just threw the door wide open. There is absolutely no consensus on this. So what does this all add up to? Well, it's basically a high-stakes cat-and-mouse game. Regulators try to close loopholes, and the advertisers, with their massive budgets, just find new ones. The game on the field is almost matched by the strategic game being played off of it.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? In this big clash between determined state laws and the deafening silence from a central government, who's actually going to win the final match?